In my last video I did a Steeldive mod where I just did a quick dial and hand swap with a custom aftermarket dial that I modified. I liked it so much, after that video I just couldn't stop wearing it. I would take a day where I think, you know what, wear the perfect SKX, the one that I did last year. Wear that one, that's one of your favourites. Halfway through the day, I think I'll put the Steeldive back on. It's bizarre. I guess I really just love the styling of that 6105 case. And so I thought, I really want to do an actual tribute watch to the 6105 using a proper reproduction dial from SEIKOSIS, some nice hands from Monster Watches, and even stepping it up to an NE15C Movement, because I thought, why not, just this once, since I'm also saving money on this kind of build by using the Steeldive 1970 as a base. The NE15C seemed like a fun upgrade, and just to really show that off, I'm going to use a display caseback for this. And with the NE15C not coming with a movement ring, it comes with metal tabs and screws. I needed to use one of the grey spacers from one of my previous movement swaps where I had to put the 7S black ring onto the NH ring, thus removing the grey ring, so I had it spare to put on the NE15C. And I'm even going to go one step further, because when I got the SEIKOSIS Dial, while the logo on there is beautiful, it's very tidy looking, actually is styled exactly as the larger logos on, say, the Sari 57 dials. It's not, at least the one I got, is not frosted finish, it's not a matte finish, it was glossy. That means that it just disappears in some lights. I've got some B-roll footage here up on the screen. It just disappears. And that's not what it's supposed to do. Seiko logos are frosted. So, a couple of years ago when I did my very first mod, the SNZH, I went through a few dials because I was making mistakes and doing experiments, and I took all the indices and the logo off of one of those dials. And I've still got it. It's been in storage for a while, so it might be a bit warped, and I did have trouble getting it on there perfectly flat, but I'll get into that more at the end of the video when I do the reveal of the watch. But all in all, I think this is going to turn out to be a really cool build. We've got that NE15C, the SEIKOSIS Dial, the Monster Watches hands, and of course the Steeldive as a base. Anyway, enough waffling about all that. Those are the parts. Let's get straight into the build, shall we? So, I'm going to leave it in here because I don't have the appropriate sort of expanding holder to grab onto a movement without the ring on it. My Seiko movement holder is designed to have this thing on it, so I'm just going to leave it in here while I take out these screws and take off the calendar plate. Then I can lift it out, push this onto it, and then put it back. I think when I do that, I probably will put the movement on this paper to hopefully prevent any smudges from getting on the rotor, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to try the NE15, because it's a beautiful rotor. But I also just wanted to have a go with one of these fancier movements with this, you know, this nice 6105 dial. So we're going to take out these 4 screws so we can remove this plate, and then this wheel will come off. Now you can get these plastic things on over the top of this, but you risk damaging them. You risk damaging this. Now I do have more of these from NH movements, but I'd rather not damage anything and just do it the careful, proper way. Excuse me. So, that's one. Gosh, that's very nice and easily. You get that gentle snap when you've broken its tension. And then this screwdriver is the exact one for the job. Come on, there we are. 3. Come on, just grip onto it for a few seconds. There, that's off. So in fact I should be able to use the same piece of Rodico to take this off as well. That's right, just push the movement back down in there while you're at it. There, gosh, the Rodico barely sticks to it even for a couple of seconds. Right. Now I'm going to take this paper Open it up. Lay it down. Again, this is just to mitigate getting the movement dirty. I really hope it works. I'm just going to place that on there. Move the camera forward so you can see what I'm doing. And then we're going to get the... place it on. And just like that, that is on there. So we can take this and put it away. Take that and place it in there. Look at that. Goes in there nicely. So I want to make sure this is... We're going to put this on here. It needs to go on just about there. Yeah, that seems, gosh, I pretty much dropped that exactly where it needed to be. Let's put a couple of screws in and make sure that it functions. One, two. Right, so there's two in there now. So look at that. That's working fine. Here we go. And we'll try again just to make certain. Yeah, so that works fine. That's great. So I can put the other two screws in now. One, two. Let's make sure they're tight. That works great. And now we have the ring on here so we can put the dial on. So this dial, as you can see, it's very reflective on the Seiko logo, which is not right. So I want to put this OEM Seiko logo from an SNZH55 dial on here. There and there is what I'm going to remove by just gently rubbing a Q-tip against it with some acetone on it. Look at that. It's such a thin coating of it, it just comes straight off. And there we are. That is off. Literally, a sewing needle here is the finest tip that I can use. Yeah, look, it's not enough. It has gone in the hole ever so slightly, though. I do apologise for the light. I'm using the light of the window. My lamp isn't very good. I think I would have upgraded it by now, but... You see that? There's a gap there now. See, look, this is the reason I don't like the finishing on this logo. When you're looking at it from the angle the camera is right now, it's invisible. I mean, yes, I know you can see it, but it doesn't appear as it should because it's reflecting the light and making it appear black. I'm just going to try and slide this underneath. This is probably completely the wrong thing to do here, but maybe I should do it from the other side. Since the dial feet are at the bottom, the feet of the logo is at the bottom. Look at that, we're actually lifting the whole dial. Come on. That's insane. That won't come up. Come on. There we are. Look at that, we got it. There's the logo. You can see the two holes that it was in. So now I'm going to take the OEM logo and see if it fits. Because, you know, just because you lay it on the back of the dial and it looks right doesn't mean it's necessarily going to fit. It's come off the Rodico now, so I'm going to try and nudge it into place. It looks like this side is aligned with the hole, so I might be able to push that down. Just going to gently nudge it until it's in place. I'll cut a long story short, but I received the wrong one from what I ordered with different text on it, and the lume wasn't great, and I imported it from America and then had to send it back and then wait after many things happened delaying it. So to finally get this here, and it cost me over 100 quid, I don't want to wreck it. Gosh, that isn't even... I might try pushing it down with this pegwood instead, but gently, very gently. No, that's flipped it over. The holes do line up though. It's about to fall off. There it goes. And I'm using the flatter, wider end of the stick rather than the tip. I believe one of those is in. No, it's come out now. Oh, it's gone in. This logo's ever so slightly crooked in the middle. You can see the E tipping up. I am going to just try and very gently lay this bag on here and try and nudge the Seiko so it's just ever so slightly more. This has probably been slightly mangled since I've taken it off the other dial, since I did do it over a year ago, and I probably didn't do a great job of it. It's a miracle that I've got it on here, to be honest. I think I actually need to push the eye down. Yeah, look what the logo does when you do that. Yeah, it's like ever so slightly. It feels like the eye is actually tipped a bit. You can see it move when I do that. It's springy. Look at that. That's straight. So if I push it further than I want it to go, very gently, and then let go. Yeah, that's definitely better. And I think, honestly, I'm going to leave it there, because if I play with this forever, I'm eventually going to do something wrong. I wonder what that is. Is that where the foot went in, or is that perhaps where I tried to press it in before? Let's see if I can get at it with a piece of Rodico. It won't come out. Oh my gosh. It was just a speck. It was a stubborn speck. I can still see it though. Well, no, I think what I'm seeing now is where the leg goes in. You can clearly see where the feet on the logo are. There is still a mark there that you can see. Look at that. It was just a little mark. And it is gone now. Oh, thank you, God. I must admit, I really thought I had, it, despite being as careful as I can be, destroyed it. Because I would, every time I look at the dial, I would look at the mark. I have ordered some special adhesive that goes on the back here. I'm not going to use the terrible epoxy that I've got that has actually gone bad. So I bought some special adhesive for jewellery that comes with a really fine tip that I will use, and I'll flip this over and just put a couple of tiny dabs on the back just to, you know, hold those feet in. That is a successful logo transplant from a OEM Seiko 5 SNZH55 dial to this reproduction 6105 dial from SEIKOSIS. So, what makes this useful for this application? I'm sure this hypocement's probably overkill for this kind of thing, but it's the precision tip. So, hopefully that works out. There we are. I've never done this before. I've never used this kind of applicator before, but hopefully it's as simple as just putting a couple of little dabs on there. Just going to gently squeeze the tube here. 1, 2. Just going to try and flatten that down a bit by just sort of massaging it. I've already put way too much on there, way too much. This is a plastic spudger that I use for mixing epoxy, and I'm just going to very gently try and massage the excess. I'm going to use the flat end here, the smaller end, and just I actually, when it started to come out of the tube, I didn't expect so much to come out so quickly, so we're just going to just flatten that like that. I believe you can use the hypo cement for sticking on bezels or bezel inserts as well, so you know, there's always another use for that. So I'll wait for that to dry, and then we can finally assemble the watch, which literally is just putting the dial and hands on and then putting the movement in the case. Let's get the dial on here first. There we are. It's on. Now we can go straight to putting the hands on. Now I actually do have one of these. I've had this ever since I started watch modding. It's garbage. This thing doesn't even go down straight, and the pieces here, they're just rubbish. They're not even flat. This thing is absolutely awful, so I've never used it outside of the tests that I tried it on. But this one here goes down nice and straight. This thing is pretty cool in the tests that I did, so I'm going to use this for the first time in this video. There we go. And I wouldn't normally hold it like this. I'm just doing it to get my hand out the way of the camera. Okay, that's ticked over. Right. There, that's it, that's it. Look at that. Ticks over exactly so far, anyway. The only thing I'm concerned about is you can see this, like just where the loom starts, you can see loom on the side of the hand coming under from the bottom where it's gone a bit too far. What I'm going to do is get this thinner dial protector that I've got. Gosh, I hate picking these things up. And I'm going to just put it on here. Go on. There we are. So what I'm going to do is just take this pegwood here and just place it there in front of the hand so it can't be moved, and then I'm just going to very carefully go like this. Look at that, it's coming off. You can see the lume coming off the side of it. Gently brush that off. And then we'll use this as well. This is with not like barely any pressure at all. I'm just gonna and just like that my hand slipped and scuffed it. So the reason that I'm doing this and not just taking it off the watch and using the pegwood to avoid scratching it at all is I was just curious to see if there was a way that I could do this while leaving it attached to the watch in case for whatever reason that's the only option you have. Although ideally I would have just split the pegwood here into 2 pieces and just used it on both sides. That has got the lume off the side of it. I've scuffed it once, and you in this particular light you can see where I've scuffed it. Just there. See that little mark right next to the tip there? To the, at least on camera you can see it, especially with this light blaring down on it, but actually when I look at it in person it looks like nothing. You know, it is what it is. I do make mistakes. My hand slipped once and that's all it takes. My idea of putting the dial protector on and using the knife did work though. There we are. There we are. Let's make sure that it's lined up. Right. It's lifting it up. I don't know that that's on there. It isn't. It just fell into my hand. Let's take that off. Take this off here. Like that. Put this one in. And then try again. Yeah, I'm just looking at the sides of this hand to make sure that it's not. Yeah, look, there is a bit of lume showing on the side there, look. The pegwood's actually quite good at just scraping it off. Although you do need more pressure with the pegwood, but just basically what I was doing here, if I put this in front of the camera, was I was just taking the pegwood and just brushing it down the edge of the hand just to scrape off any excess lume that was showing. Let's get a dry Q-tip really quick and just clean this just a little bit. And again, I never apply lots of pressure with this. I'm just sort of trying to get off any smudges on the hands that may have occurred because of Rodico or, well, any of the other objects that I've brought into contact with the hand. There, right. Put it back to... I apologise for the top-down view being mediocre at the moment. I wish I had more cameras and more places to put them, but they get in my way. Okay, let's get the hand back on it for the last time now. There. There. That is lined up. That's pushed it on this time. However, it is, if we look at this, see how it's touching the hour hand? It's not at the back. As you can see, the gap is very, very tiny. I like usually to have the gap a bit bigger than that, but I guess maybe I didn't push the hand on enough, but I wanted to avoid it making contact with the Seiko logo because it's raised up. So what I'm going to do to mitigate this problem is the usual trick. I'm going to use the thicker one. This dial protector is thicker than that one. This is the one I normally use. We're just going to push that between them. There it goes. And we're just going to gently go like this. And then we're just going to pull that out. Gosh, that is still such a tiny gap. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to be a bit more, I'm going to put a bit more pressure. And just gently lifting the hand. At least on camera, you can actually see there is a gap there, look. It's a very tiny gap. Flip me. So, we are ready to do the second hand now. Let's make sure that the smudges on the tip of the hand here from the Rodico are out the way. We'll just give it a quick spritz. Great. Sometimes it takes longer to put hands on a watch. What can I say? It's delicate work. Yeah, they don't conflict with one another at all. They look beautiful in this light, don't they? The finishing on these is wonderful. Here we go. Okay, just 1 minute past. I'm happy with that. I've also noticed that the time set date change is actually different from the natural date change. So, yeah, that is absolutely fine. And what I'm actually going to do with the second hand is I'm going to manually put it on for. In fact, I'm going to manually put it on first, and then use the tool to just press it on a bit further for even pressure. But I'm going to manually get it set on the post first. I'm going to use the red pusher that I would use for an hour, the hour hand, because it has this lovely flat end to it with a tiny hole in the middle, which means it's just going to be a flat piece and it's not going to push the tube that actually goes onto the pin out of the middle of the second hand, because that's happened to me before when using the smaller pushers. Just going to pick it up. Then I'm going to do the usual, get on my knees at the side of the desk. That is on. So, gosh, it's so funny. People say the second hand is the hardest, and when I first started doing this, I'd agree with you. But nowadays, when I just get on my knees and look at it from the side, it goes on easy like that. How long did that take? Not long. And I know I need to push it down further, but I'm going to do that on the machine here. And I'm going to use a different head. I'm going to use this one here because it's got a tiny, tiny hole in it, which means it's just a flat surface that will push it down, basically. On it. I wonder if I can get you a pure side angle, like what I look at when... Gosh, I just need the microphone out of the way here. This is ridiculous. I just can't get the camera down low enough. Yeah, right, here we go. There, that has pushed it on, and it's gone on level, hasn't bent anything. Lovely. Right, let's push the pin in. So now I push that in. Oh no, did I push it in wrong? It looks off center. No, I didn't. Don't panic. It looks off center because the light is not hitting that side of the hands. The watch is not wound. Oh my goodness, watch this. Push that in. There it goes. Sometimes you need to stop and think. I'm going to wait for that to just go all the way, and then once it reaches the top, I'll align the hands and we'll check the spacing. Gosh, that looks nice, doesn't it? And I'm really pleased with that frost finish OEM logo on there. Yes, it's not quite as tidy looking as the one that came with it, but the frost finish is the most important thing. That matte finish that doesn't disappear in certain light. And after looking at a picture of the OEM dial itself, the original 6105 dial, it looks exactly the same. So, oh my goodness. That is very tight spacing, but it's perfect. Look at this, ready? Yeah, look at that spacing. That is really tight, but quite tidy. I'm pleased with that. Yeah, that's lovely. In fact, I am going to just get a dry Q-tip again and just very gently just rub the top of that. Because the Rodico would have smudged it. That is ready to go in the watch. So we're going to take this off, take the crown out, because I'm pretty sure the NE15s and the NH movements use the same stem. I can just use the Steeldive's crown and stem. I don't have to change anything. Push that down with this tool here, and then just pull that out. And there we are. So then I'm going to get my trusty, because I still, even though I've got these extra hand pushers and those nice screwdrivers, still only have this. Didn't buy the cushion thing. I did put it in a basket at one point, but I thought, oh, what's the point? There you go. There you are. We're just going to put that to one side and then put that over it. There. So there's our Steeldive. And I've already taken the liberty of testing this display case back that I bought separately, and it fits on here absolutely perfectly, so that was great. So we'll be able to get a nice look at that NE15 when it goes in there. There we are. Take the bracelet off, put that to one side. I'm going to go to the beach after this. It's a beautiful day. Take that off and place that face down so it doesn't get any dust on it. And this is a brand new Steeldive 6105 homage. Bought it specifically for this. I thought about getting the Heimdallr, but I wanted to stick with the one I knew, and I really liked the case and the crown action on the Steeldive, so I thought let's just stick with what I know and go for this again. So now that that's been unscrewed, take out the crown. There we are. In fact, I'm going to try and put it straight in here. There, straight in there. Straight with the lid on. There we are. And we'll put that to one side. We'll take this. If I'm not mistaken, that second hand is stuck. Yeah, look, now it starts moving because it got stuck. So I'm actually going to just bend that up just a little bit. Let's see if that goes back round again. Gosh. No, it didn't get stuck, but you know what? I want to be certain, so we're just gonna, I don't want to have to push the crown back in, so we're just gonna go like that. Just gently bend that up. There. There's no way that'll be in the way now. And I'm actually going to get on my knees and watch it go over the minute hand so that I know that it's not touching it. Yeah, sometimes you just have issues, you know. Sometimes these go on like a breeze. You just press them on, they're all nicely spaced and there's no problems. But other times you have a dial logo to worry about, so you don't want the hour hand to hit that, so you can't press that down as far, and then everything sort of stacks up. Yeah, that seems fine now. And I mean, if I have to get it out of the case and sort it out even more later, I will. But I've bent that twice, very gently. I say bent, I mean curved. So I think that's okay to go in the case now. So we're about to see what this 6105 tribute watch is going to look like. Right. Let's make sure that that's in there. Yeah, that's not in all the way, is it? Where's the crown? The crown's there, so... There, that's better. Oh my word, are you kidding me, Daniel? Go in the watch. Wow, that was sketchy. Did I wreck it? No. But I hated every second of that. Gosh, that went in at an angle and then, oh my gosh, man. Talk about a simple thing. Literally, I'd already pre-prepared everything else. All I had to do today was glue the logo on the back of the dial and then put the dial on and put the hands on and put it in here. And I've done that before on other projects and it's been really quick and really easy, minus the gluing, of course, but this was, yeah, this had a lot of speed bumps. Lume on the side of the hands, very close tolerances of the hands. Oh, but I digress. That is in there now. Let's get the crown in and see how it's looking. That goes in nicely. Let's flip it over. Sorry about the... I will clean the glass in a minute. That's fine. Yeah, gosh, it's a very springy... You expect a sort of more of a click. I had this issue with my other Steeldive, but when I readjusted it, it went away. Oh well, let's... let me make sure that it's lined up. Everything's lined up. It looks like it, doesn't it? I mean, on camera, it's so weird. In real life, it looks like this triangle is tilting to this side. And on camera, it looks like it's tilting the other way. So I'm just going to say that that is aligned. Because when you look at it from that angle there... Wait a minute. It looks good. And the 30 as well, between the middle of the 30, that looks like that lines up. So let's get the back on. Gonna just puff the inside of this. Don't think there's anything on it. It's brand new and I put it straight on the watch when I tested it. Wait a minute. I see that. I see that little speck there. There you go. Got it. Gosh, these finger cots just can't grip it. Make sure that sort of locks itself into place. So I'm going to reverse and then go down. There we go. Right, come on. And I was worried about the depth of the threads if they were going to screw down far enough for this Steeldive case, but they do. And the seller on AliExpress, despite not speaking English, because it was all translated on the chat thing, they did all the measurements for me to confirm that it was going to fit, because pretty much all the listings for these display casebacks for the showing that they would fit the 6105 homage cases were all a bit ambiguous, but that goes on nicely. Now we can clean the glass and actually have a nice look at this for the first time. Oh my word. Look at that. So there you are, look at that. A 6105 tribute watch here made out of a Steeldive. And I say tribute because it doesn't just look similar to it, like an homage, like say this. It pretty much looks just like it. but a few sort of up-to-date comforts like the screw-down crown instead of the lock crown that it used to have, and a ceramic insert. But that is gorgeous. What can I say? It looks like a 6105 for the most part. I could change the bezel insert for an aluminium one to make it look more like the original, but for the meantime, I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is because I prefer a ceramic insert. They're much more scratch resistant, and I like the sort of gloss, smooth finish that the ceramic bezels have, and of course it being lumed is also a plus side. Really pleased with how that Caseback fit on there. The seller was really kind and offered to measure the depth and did a bunch of measurements for the threads just to ensure that they did fit, and when I got it and put it on there, it fit absolutely perfectly. So really chuffed about that, because it means we get to actually look in and see that lovely NE15C movement. And although it is a simplistic rotor, I just like the extra flourishes that it has over the NH movements. You know, those lovely lines that are on the rotor and the black text opposed to just a stamp that isn't filled with anything. I just think it looks really cool. Simplicity, yet a few elegant touches anyway. As for the rest of it, I mean, there's only really one thing to say. It just looks awesome. It just looks like a 6105, you know, like a modern, clean, factory fresh sort of. There's just something to be said about this sort of vintage styling. It really does stand the test of time. Like when you look at the 1970s Willard, that's 50 years old now at this point. More than 50 years old. It still holds up. I mean, the only nitpick you could say is the hands might be a bit too skinny for how chunky and bulky this whole watch is. Maybe a thicker handset would have been better, which is probably why in the newer versions they have a thicker handset on them. But I actually really like the way this watch looks overall. It's just a beautiful style. I really love the square indices on the dial, and of course the SEIKOSIS Dial might not have excellent lume. I'll throw up a lume shot now. It's a little disappointing, to be honest, with how much the dial costs. You could have just used better lume, honestly, but I digress. It's very nice and clean and white in normal light, and then it glows green in the dark. I just think this watch looks fantastic overall. It's a 6105. I call it a tribute because it looks almost exactly like the original, just with a few modern touches. The ceramic insert, the sapphire crystal, the screw-down crown, and of course the display case back to show off that lovely NE15C movement. So it just looks like a sort of updated 6105. I just love the styling on the dial. I really do. The raised logo with the automatic written just underneath it, and then the water 150 resist. SEIKOSIS also have dials that say 150 proof as well. In fact, I didn't order one of those, but they sent one of those by mistake, and so I had to send it back and go through a whole ordeal of waiting for the package to get to them and then having to continually message them to get responses for them to send it back. It wasn't a very good experience, I'll be honest, but you know, things happen, and I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, mainly because I'm a patient man, and I wanted the dial, so I was just going to wait as long as it took, and eventually I got the dial. And although I'm a little disappointed I even had to change the logo, to be honest, I think it turned out really beautiful. And honestly, the only irritation of mine is that I couldn't quite get that logo on there perfectly flat, so it reflects the light. In low light, the letters light up slightly differently depending on the angle because it's not perfectly flat. Let me know in the comments if you've got any tips on how I could fix that. Like, would I be able to just apply some sort of downward pressure, which I've already tried, but maybe I could do it again, from the top while it's still on the dial? Or do you think I'm going to have to take the logo off and try to bend it, or take it off, put it on something else so that I can sandwich it between something that would apply even pressure? Do let me know. I'd be interested on how I can fix that, because I don't have any more OEM dials to pilfer logos from, and I would like to get it looking as perfect as I can. The other thing as well is I guess I'm a bit disappointed that I was a bit overzealous in my trying to sand down the logo that came off of this dial to have a matte finish. I literally only sanded it for a few seconds, but clearly I applied too much pressure, and so it revealed the brass underneath, and so I'd have to replate it or something, and it's just not worth it. You might as well just get an old OEM vintage dial and just take the logo off that and have a fresh one of those instead. But let me know if you've got any tips on how to address that problem in, say, the future. If I was to get another SEIKOSIS dial, one of my thoughts was I could leave the logo on the dial and then use maybe a fiberglass pen or something with an abrasive tip, and then just very carefully brush it across the top of the logo to frost the finish, just sort of scuff it up with an even texture to make it matte finish or frost finish instead of that gloss that disappears in certain light. But I digress. Let me know if you've got any tips for that in the comments, and do let me know what you think of this. I've seen a lot of people take the Steeldive and use reproduction dials or aftermarket dials to get that vintage 6105 look, because trust me, I did look for an OEM dial for this. I didn't want to pay £500 for a real 1970s dial, only for it to have it's already, even a new old stock one has lume rot, and I just looked at all the options and thought, you know what, SEIKOSIS, this reproduction dial is the best option. It's the cleanest, it looks brand new because it is, and it's just very tidy, and it comes with options. You can get the different text on the dial, and you can get the different dial feet. You want a 3 o'clock crown, you can. 3.8, you can. Let me know if you think you would have preferred this to have not been in a Steeldive. Do you think I should have gone with the NamokiMods SKX conversion option, which is all much more premium parts, but has a 3.8 o'clock crown position? Let me know if you think I should have done that instead. In fact, there is a small voice in the back of my head that says you should have done that so that you won't complain about the bezel action all the time. I'll throw a picture up on the screen now. This is the type of bezel that these 6105 cases have. It's wire retention and a click wire, and they are a nightmare to take off and put back on. And so if I want to change this insert, I can't just pop the bezel off, because there's a chance I won't get it back on and have a good rotation out of it ever again. And that is one of the nitpicks that made me think maybe you should have gone with a NamokiMods offering. The only reason I didn't is because I really love the 4.1 or 4.2 crown position, and I really wanted to go with that. And the NamokiMods case is a 3.8 instead. So I will say this, NamokiMods, I would love it if you guys made a 6105 style case with an original crown position of the 4.2 crown for mods like this, because I would definitely take the guts of this watch and transfer it into one of those to get the perfect 6105 tribute watch. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this one. I've waffled on quite long enough, so let me know what you think of the watch. Let me know if you've got any tips for getting the logo on there perfectly flat now that it's already clearly slightly warped. How can I go about fixing that in the most efficient and least damaging way? And let me know if you've got any tips for changing the finish of a logo while it's on the dial, like, changing it from a polished finish to a frost or matte finish, because I'd be very eager to know things about that in the future. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you were entertained by all this, because that's why I do these videos. It's to entertain you, to give you something to watch. It's not actually to show you how things are done. I'm not a professional. I am an amateur, so this isn't, I guess I should have put this disclaimer at the beginning of probably all my videos, but I'm just improvising as I go and hoping for the best. So I hope that I've entertained you with my endeavors, and I'll see you in the next one. There we go, that'll do. I'm done.